I am finally going to actually finish this painting. This has been in the works for months now. Since the beginning of this year. I don't remember when I started, but I'm gonna finish it. I did a color comp digitally to fix some of the things that I was really unsure of, which I think is a big part of why I've been kind of stalling on this piece, is I wasn't really sure how to actually finish the disembodied hands behind the character. So I've done a color study, or more like a digital edit of this, so I know what I want it to be. And I'm gonna do it. And hopefully it's just gonna get done over the weekend. That's my plan. There's really pretty minimal things left that I need to do on it, so I just need to check it off and get it done, but I'm excited to do that. I did not end up using that color comp that I'd figured out, and I felt so great that I had planned it out and I was ready to go and I'd fixed my problem. I was very indecisive with that element in this piece. And overall, the process of working on this piece was so very different from how it normally is for me, and I kind of liked that. I liked that it shook things up a bit with how I approached some of the problems in this piece. It was, it was a bit of a breath of fresh air in some ways, where it was very, very different. It wasn't the same rut that I find myself falling into frequently. Today is going to be just a nice chatty paint with me. I'm going to talk about this piece, which I loved working on. We're going to talk about that. It's a great opportunity to pull up some of your own artwork or a cup of tea and hang out with me while I chit chat about this piece. It is available as a print at my shop, which is really exciting because it's been a very long time since I've released an open edition print on my shop. And the original painting is available there as well. So there is that link down in the description that'll take you over there. And this piece actually ended up being titled Trick of the Light, which I felt was very fitting for these like pastel ghostly space hands that she had. They went through a lot of steps, a lot more steps than you actually see in this video or the previous one where I started it. I think it started off where I painted her hands as like actual flesh colored, where they matched her color more. And then I shifted it so that as they went to as I transitioned to the higher hands, they got purplier and a little bit more saturated, and I didn't like that. Then I painted them over as more of a lime green, which was really a mistake. And I feel like there was one more transition in there too before it ended up being more like this, which is this glowy pastel kind of transparent ghostly effect. And I thought that I was going to paint over it and match it to the background behind the moon, that blue color. I thought I was going to do that, and then I thought I was going to add in some stars and make it look like this like glimpse into deep space. Like it was almost like a liquefied version of space into these hand shapes. And it kind of has a little bit of that feel, where it does end up having those little stars and dots in her hands. But I decided to keep that pastel-y transparent look instead of going so dark, which again was in my color comp. And I'm glad that I did that. I was looking at it again after I sat down and spent some time away from it, and I felt like there's a spark there that I did still like out of the pastels that I had put down. So I didn't want to just throw those away and slap a much darker single note color over all of it, because that was my plan. Instead of rendering the hands with shadows and highlights, I thought that I was just going to go in with a single shade, maybe have it blend from like one end of the arm to the other, and then have line work and stars. And I liked that I kept with this. Oh, and really quickly, I have an exciting announcement. I am currently working on my Inktober book for this year. I am so excited to do a new one this year. It's going to definitely be the best one yet, and this is all Grim Reaper themed. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be titled Memento Mori, and it's going to launch on Kickstarter on October 12th, which is less than 2 weeks away. I am so excited to be able to show you guys the pieces that I've done for this book, it's really near and dear to my heart. I've loved the process of this, but yeah, October 12th. Remember that if you're interested in it. If you'd like to stay up to date to the progress of this, and if you want to know exactly when it launches, then make sure to head over to my website. There's a link down in the description, and sign up for the newsletter there. I'm going to make sure to send out a newsletter to everybody when it does go live, so that you can go check that out and sign up and hopefully help me make it a reality, make this a physical, tangible book. But yeah, October 12th, remember that date. Working on this piece definitely opened my eyes that I need to find a better way to incorporate working in oils into my workflow. I love working with oils. I love it so much. It feels like it's something not natural in the way that it feels like I know what I'm doing, but natural in the way that it feels like there's just a really strong connection with the way that I like to work. And working in oils, it's really exciting. I feel like there's just so much opportunity for me to learn and grow, and I want to do it more. And this piece took so long, not because I was waiting for it to dry or anything. That was a small part of it, but because I would set it aside for it to dry, which at the most really would have only taken about a week for certain areas where I wasn't using as much medium, and less than that where I was using more of the fast dry medium. I would set it aside for that amount of time, and then because I had other pieces to work on and other things that had actual deadlines that I gave myself, I would work on those, and then I would let this piece sit there for weeks and sometimes entire month where I wouldn't even touch it. And I didn't like that. I really, really want to be able to work on oils in a way that I'm actually working on them so I can get better, so I can practice. I have so many things that I don't understand about oils yet, as far as like mixing the colors and understanding the pigments and knowing which pigments are going to get the effects that I want, and knowing what mediums to use when I want to use them. And the only way for me to really learn that stuff is to actually put it into practice. And the only way for me to do that is if I do more paintings more frequently. So that is a thing that I need to pay attention to. I think that I need to just schedule in a certain amount of time within the week. I need to figure out when I can do that, and I just need to schedule oil painting time where I can sit down and work on a piece. And it was just so exciting to finally get to this point where I was able to push myself to finishing, because there were all of these little details from the very beginning that I was just so excited to put into this piece. But I couldn't add it till I was at the home stretch with it. I had to wait until the main blocks of color were down and blended and mostly correct, and then I could go in and add line work to refine the edges and details. And I was so excited, so ready to get to it. There were details that were sketched out in the sketch that I had, and I've had that taped to my wall since the beginning of the process of this piece. And I've been looking at it and getting excited for those details that I would get to paint. And it finally came. It finally arrived. I got to paint all those little tattoos on her skin, which that was a really enjoyable process. I loved how it transformed her arms and what it looked like. I also loved how subtle it was and how enjoyable it was to paint that in oils. It was just such an enjoyable process. I loved that. So that's a little side note that I need to make sure that I paint more tattoos in oils when I'm painting in oils, because it was just really enjoyable. That was a detail that I loved. But I also loved being able to go in and add those really sharp highlights. And it's actually something that I didn't think I would love necessarily in oils, but I love going in with the white highlights, and I like having a little bit of texture to it so that it actually physically pops off of the painting, so that there's more dimension to it. I think that effect is really interesting in person. It makes the highlights really feel very punchy and sharp. That was a little detail in her eyes that I loved putting in there. I love putting in highlights in eyes anyways, but in oils in particular, it was just incredibly satisfying to watch it transform her eye into something that looked much more alive. each piece that I've painted in oils, I've gotten closer and closer to understanding how to paint the skin tones and how to mix them specifically. I still feel like I am so far away from understanding how to do it well, but I'm a lot closer than when I was at the beginning. With watercolors, it's so different of a process, at least for me, how I do it. I like to paint the base skin color down, which is usually, unless I'm doing something more fantasy, it's usually a warm skin tone, so something peachy and orangey. And then I'll take my quinacridone violet, which I love for skin tones. I'll mix that up. I won't mix any other pigments, usually. This is obviously variable, but I can take that and then I'll put it right on top of that base skin color. And because it's layering on top of it and it's transparent, it becomes orange and purple together, which are complementary colors. Well, almost complementary colors. And it desaturates that purple so that it becomes more of a shadow color. But when I'm working in oils, because it's opaque, when I mix my quinacridone violet, at least in the past, and definitely in moments in this piece, I'll mix too much of it so that it ends up being really saturated, which is not what shadows usually look like, and it's certainly not what I've been trying to achieve. So that was something that I really struggled with at the beginning, is I ended up with these really punchy purple shadows that did not look right, did not look natural, and I was really fighting with it. And this one, I think I finally had a certain breakthrough with understanding how to mix them a little bit better, how to be much more subdued with the purples that I was mixing in, how to get things a little bit more natural. I am just so pleased that this piece is officially finished and that she's available as a print. Again, I have her available as an 8x10 or an 11x14, and there's that link down in the description. And I also, of course, have the original painting available as well. I love how she turns out. I couldn't capture what this piece looks like in person into the photo form. So if you were to get the original, she just has a certain special quality to her in person, which I love. I think that all original artwork is like that, though. There's just something there. But anyways, I love how the prints turned out. I loved how this piece turned out. I'm so excited to be able to move this off of my easel and start a new oil painting with the resolve that I'm going to finish it faster than I took on this one, hopefully. But that's about it for today. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next time with more painting, more artwork.